We were at 700 feet, and we were probably about 4 miles east of this storm as we were watching these tractor trailers.
Yeah, you were at 700 feet. I'll bet it looked like those trailers were about halfway up to the height you were. It's just incredible to think that it could be lifted that high.
That's just incredible video. Ames, can you make out a path that the tornado kind of cut through? Do you see a distinct path, or is it just kind of just random?
There are a lot of trees. It is just kind of random. But it kind of appears that from here it goes southwest from here. Here's I-20, and we can head that way and try to follow a path. We see lots of police cars and stuff up here, emergency personnel, but no defined area though.
Yeah, we're just trying to make piece everything together to pinpoint the exact path of the storm. It was certainly, and the worst of it appears to be at that tractor trailer parking lot. And I didn't realize how close.
The most dramatic.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't realize how close that was to the interstate. And can you tell if there are any vehicles that were flipped on the interstate? Because that really could have been just a horrible scene.
Yeah, we did see. I'm looking for it now. There was on the service road, there was a tractor trailer that was flipped on its side, and I'm zooming into it now. And this is on the service road to I-20 heading eastbound. And there's some damage here, and then some billboards damaged, and then there's some other storage trailers that are damaged.
Well, I'm hopeful that this tornado was so big and so obvious that folks out there on Interstate 20 were able to put on the brakes and not drive right into the path of it. So hopefully that did minimize the destruction on the interstate. But it's just incredible what we see going on in the surrounding areas. What are your plans here during this next half hour, Ames? Are you headed to another location to survey?
We're trying to get to Forney, but right now I don't think the weather's allowing us to. So, we're going to check out where we can and hopefully get to Forney to see if the schools are okay. Yeah,
the big storm line appears to be right about on the Dallas-Kaufman County line at the present time. So you might be able to move in there after about 15 minutes or so, but certainly wouldn't recommend heading that way right now. Thank you so much for your report, Ames. We really appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you.
This, again, the video reported earlier by Ames as Chopper 5 was up and about. And again, this is just something I've never seen before. This is a day unlike any other I've experienced. We've had huge hailstorms in the past. We've had tornadoes hit downtown Fort Worth. We've had massive floods. I've never seen tornado emergencies simultaneously in Dallas and Tarrant counties. It was just so hard to keep up with because we had to keep cutting away from one of these particularly dangerous storms to cover the other one, and that made it very difficult. But we've got a good team here, and hopefully we did the job properly. You can see again here, recorded a little earlier, this was when that tornado was moving through and pitching those tractor trailers up into the air. We've got other reporters out in the field who will be giving us more storm damage reports, but before we get there, we probably ought to review the radar once again at what's happening right now.
And before we, we were talking about that tornado earlier, and you and I were discussing probably high-end EF2, maybe EF3, winds 150 miles per hour. That's just an estimate, but we'll gather more and we'll know more as we go along and survey more of the damage. But right now we still have this active tornado warning for Hunt County, and you folks that are watching from Hunt County, especially south of Greenville and near Quinlan, still have this active tornado warning. But you'll notice it is mainly a solid line. We don't have the individual supercells type storms detached by themselves like we had earlier. So you can certainly still get a brief tornado spinning up within this line, but the chances of a long-lived, powerful tornado like what we had earlier, not quite as great. But still, we want you to be alert here, especially in Greenville, down to Quinlan. If you live anywhere between on 34, you do need to be taking your tornado precautions. Still, we are not taking this lightly. We're still concerned here that there could be a tornado embedded within this line. So that's the concern, and that's the reason that the tornado warning continues here in Hunt County for a few more minutes. And we also have that tornado warning that continues up in Hopkins and Lamar County. Real quick, we'll zoom in up there. This storm has cleared through the Sulphur Springs area, primarily affecting rural communities and some rural farmland, but we still have the tornado warnings in effect up here to the northeast west of Mount Vernon and not far from the Bogota area. And that may head up toward Clarksville as well. Other cells that may intensify near Emory, west of Quitman. Those are looking a little ominous there on the radar. They're not quite to severe limits just yet, but notice how secluded, how isolated they are. They're by themselves, and those are the ones that are most concerning. Still heavy rain, potential for large hail stretching from Hunt County, basically from Wolf City, and all the way up into Fannin County, through Wolf City, Greenville, down into Kaufman County, gusty winds. These storms are severe, but they're not tornadic. Still could have some winds to 60, maybe 65 miles per hour. All the way down to Ennis, just east now of Hillsborough. These storms are drifting toward Corsicana, so you folks have a lot of wind, heavy rain, and hail coming into Corsicana here very shortly. And we're going to continue to follow it here in the First Alert Weather Center. We'll let you know if there are any more tornado issued, and we will let you know immediately. But Brian and Christy, we've been busy today. We've seen a widespread tornado outbreak.
Yeah, an unbelievable afternoon, guys. We're following some breaking developments from over here at the desk. This is a live picture here from DFW Airport, where this weather has caused some serious problems. Hail that moved over DFW earlier apparently damaged many American Airlines planes, and American has basically said, we are not flying out of DFW this afternoon. We have to take a good look at all of these planes and make sure they are safe before we start flying again.
And of course, that is the safest thing to do. We've been watching these storms since about 1:15 this afternoon, so quite a few developments over the course of the afternoon. And once again, American Airlines has decided to cancel all flights for the rest of the evening. Now, this is a live look, or a look at some of the damage that we've seen from the tornadoes that have come through the area. This is from southeast Dallas, a live picture from Chopper 5. You see homes there just obliterated. We've seen some similar damage in other parts of the Metroplex today.
This is at Bonnie View and Stagecoach. This is where that long track tornado came through, that tornado that was on the ground for a very long time. Let's go to Ames Meyer up in Chopper 5. Ames, what exactly are we looking at here? This obviously is a neighborhood that has suffered some very serious damage.
Yeah, this is a neighborhood. It's southwest of where we were, about a couple miles southwest of where we were at the truck stop, or the area where all the trucks were. And this neighborhood is just west of Cedar Valley College. It's at Wintergreen and Telephone Avenue. And as you can see, there's a lot of homes in here that are destroyed. I mean, the roofs are torn off. People are walking around trying to clean up the debris. There are some firefighters in the area going through, making sure nobody's in these homes, and just a lot of debris.
Ames, that is obviously the first concern, is everybody okay? Do you see any ambulances? Do you see any medical personnel that might indicate that there are injuries, or does it appear that everyone is okay in this neighborhood?
There's a fire truck there, and I'm gonna pan up, and there are some other people going through. Here we go. It appears that there's like a staging area here where, you know, people can go to if they need help.
Yeah, and we do see ambulances there.
Yeah, and you know, this has been such a crazy day. This is quite a bit of damage. Ames, can you give us an idea of just how wide the damage is in this particular neighborhood? Are you looking at, 3-4 streets, 1 mile, 2 mile? Is it hard to tell?
It is kind of hard to tell. You can kind of see the path here. I'm gonna pan up. Like this is the worst part of this neighborhood, and I'm gonna pan. And I'm going down and to the west. So I'm going southwest from here, and you can see this path.
Yeah.
It goes right through here, and it goes on to another neighborhood there. And you know, you do see lots of emergency personnel.
All right, Ames, we hate to interrupt you here, but we need to get back to David in the Weather Center here.
Yeah, I want to give you an update here on this line of storms. It's advancing eastward. It moved through Fort Worth and Dallas. It's now pushing eastward towards the Greenville vicinity, and right on the leading edge of that, we still have a big tornado threat. The National Weather Service is saying right now, 7 miles southwest of Greenville, they're saying a large and particularly dangerous tornado moving northeast. Now, it's hard to see here. It's completely rain wrapped. There's no good circulation showing a large hook. But on the velocity display, you can definitely see a broad area of circulation back here, and they are describing it as a large and dangerous tornado 7 miles southwest of Greenville. That would put it down there somewhere close to Caddo Mills, and it's moving towards the northeast. So those of you in Hunt County, take cover all along that I-30 corridor from Caddo Mills to Greenville. We'll see if it lasts long enough to make it up towards Commerce. Certainly you're all, everywhere in Hunt County, going to be getting some very heavy rain, a lot of lightning, the potential for some large hail and damaging winds. And right now in this area, still the threat of a tornado moving right up towards Greenville, and it'll be there in just the next few minutes.
Ken Kaltoff, who's in Lancaster, and this is a parking lot in that area in southeast Dallas. Yeah, earlier about 1:30, we saw these trailers flying through the air as they were caught up in that tornado. This is the aftermath of that, which is pretty amazing to see.
These are live pictures you're looking at from Chopper 5. We saw these trailers flying hundreds of feet through the air. Some of the most incredible video David Finfrock says he has ever seen, and David's been covering this for more than 30 years in this area. Here's the video that we're talking about. See that trailer right there in the middle of your screen? It flew up and it just landed on top of that other trailer.
You see a couple of them actually. There's another one. It's pretty amazing.
And you see the power flashes. That's the storm moving through, blowing out those transformers that we often see in these kinds of situations. And very heavy damage in residential areas in this part of the city as well. Once again, this is southeast Dallas that we're looking at. Look at these trailers, just twisted up.
And as we should point out that these trailers, we believe, were all empty, which of course makes it a little bit easier for them to be tossed up, but it's still pretty amazing. And we haven't heard of anyone being damaged at this particular location, or excuse me, anyone being injured at this location.
Our own Ken Kaltoff watched this storm come through, and he joins us now. Ken, describe what you saw.
Well, it was an incredible thing to see, and where I am right now is a location that suffered some damage from that very same tornado further south in Lancaster. About a dozen homes are completely destroyed here. Many other homes have suffered very serious damage. And right here, this is the Cedar Valley Christian Center. This was the overhang for a driveway here, and inside this place when the tornado came through, about 135 kids were attending a daycare center operation here. But luckily, all of the people around here survived. We watched that storm as it came through from about a mile away from this location, and we knew that there would be big damage here from all of the debris that we saw in the storm cloud. It was a tremendous cloud. At one house, a lady was trying to pull out of her garage as it came by. At the height of it, she could not because a truck flew from nowhere into her driveway.
From the back fence was going that way. So I pulled back in, I heard a thump, turned around, and here was this truck. And that's when I turned around and thought, I'm not going anywhere.
And I saw God, and it picked us up and just slammed us down. But I really feel this little edge saved our lives because there was nowhere else to go.
We heard stories like that from many people in this neighborhood who survived despite the incredible damage there is here. Firefighters from several surrounding communities have come in here. Here's a truck from DeSoto helping people look through things and go through the damage and try to secure the houses that can be secured. But as you can see, some of them have basically nothing left to secure. Others have hardly any damage at all, and people in those places will be wanting to make sure that they can try to keep their house together, keep looters away. All kinds of police are here. Police from Dallas, from DeSoto, from Lancaster, and from several other communities. We even saw police cars here from Highland Park. But as you know, the storm kept moving north, and so it could be that some of those communities had their own problems to deal with here today from this amazing series of tornado touchdowns in North Texas. Brian and Christy?
Ken, and I know people there are still stunned and still trying to work this all out, but has anybody made reference to the tornado that hit that same area back in 1994?
Yeah, lots of them have, and they're pretty surprised and amazed that the same kind of thing could come right through this town again. A similar sort of situation. It drove right through the city. As I understand, I was not here in 1994, and I don't know the details intimately, but plenty of these people do, and they're pretty amazed that this has happened here again.
Ken, did people tell you that they felt like they had good warning?
There was clearly warning available, but many of the people said that they didn't really know what was going on. Now, we did hear sirens in this area, and we do understand that schools knew what was happening. They were able to take cover. The people here at this church tell us that they knew what was happening and they were taking precautions. The pastor here at this church told me that they knew exactly what was going on. They did all the safety things they should. They gathered all the kids into a safe, secure spot that they had checked out in advance for just such a thing. And so they knew what was happening, and that might help to explain why everyone was okay here. The structure survived pretty well here. It's a pretty sturdy building, and so this aluminum and all out in the front kind of blew apart, but the building itself was okay inside at least this church. Now, there were other people that told me they didn't know what was going on. They heard all of that noise, they heard all the rain. Evidently, whatever warning there might have been wasn't really reaching them deep inside their house, but everyone was able to survive this around here, either getting into a bathtub because they heard all the noise and they felt the house shaking, or doing whatever might be necessary to take cover and survive. Luckily, everyone here did, but there are a number of people that have some pretty severe injuries. I saw one woman who had a pretty nasty bruised and cut leg. She was trying to walk from outside into the house at the time, and she survived, but she's a little beat up.
Ken, you are a veteran reporter. I know you have seen a lot of storms. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Brian, I never saw the tornado actually passing right in front of me, and when this was happening around 1:30 or whatever time it was, I was with photographer Mike Grimm. He and I have both been through the trenches, but he and I both have remarked that we've never seen the actual tornado spinning right in front of us and seen debris flying around from it. It was a pretty frightening thing to see, and when we were alive at the time while this was happening, I was asking David Finfrock which way this is going, just to make sure that it is going north and not back toward the east where we were watching it pass by. It's a very amazing thing to watch, and frightening too, because we knew there were lots of people up ahead in the area where this storm was going through. We knew that situations like this were going to be out here, and just fortunately people lived to tell us about it.
We're glad you guys are okay. You know, we always tell folks to take cover, and then we run out into the storm to try to cover it for folks to keep them safe. And of course, everything that has happened to everybody else this afternoon also happens to us and guys like you out in the field. So you guys take care out there.
We were being very careful to take care of ourselves and make sure that we would not be in front of that.
All right, well, we'll check back with you guys later in the afternoon.
Golf ball sized hail has been reported, but we have not had a tornado touchdown, at least none that have been reported. And it's moved through Greenville, so I think the biggest danger is over there. We do still officially have a tornado warning in that area, mainly running east of Greenville over towards Commerce, but the tornado threat, I think, is diminishing a little bit. You can see this high reflectivity here, though. That's still probably a large swath of hail, golf ball size, maybe larger, headed right towards Commerce. So those of you in Commerce, be prepared for a big storm. The potential is there for a tornado, but as bad as it looked coming in towards Greenville, we have not had reports of damage there. Certainly earlier, a lot of damage reports in Royce City, and also that was down in northeastern Rockwall County, just a little bit earlier down towards Forney in the western portion, northwestern portion of Kaufman County. So these storms were tracking along right towards Greenville, but evidently we really lucked out and have not had major damage there. Golf ball sized hail has been reported. Still do have that tornado warning. We've also got them over here way off to the east. This is actually leaving our viewing area now, way up into northeast Texas from Clarksville to Mount Vernon, Mount Pleasant, and on towards the east. Still some strong storms for us. In fact, Grant, if we turn on the lightning, I want to show folks just how much. Look at that. This is the lightning that we're seeing just in the, these are the plots from the last 5 minutes. That tells you how active these storms are. So that is still a real hazard. In addition, strong winds, large hail, real hazard. But the fact that this is forming into a solid line now lessens the tornado threat in this area. You can see it's moving, the whole line itself easing eastward while individual cells race northeastward about 40 miles per hour along that line. Back here in Dallas County, we do still have one cell up here right along 75 going up from the High 5 through Richardson and into Plano, just about as far north as the George Bush Tollway. Elsewhere in Dallas and Tarrant counties, it's mostly calmed down, but still very active storms, and this line will likely produce strong damaging wind gusts and large hail as it pushes eastward. You can see it extends southward past Waco, eastern Hill County, generally east of Hillsborough now, still seeing the storms, just moving in through Corsicana and much of Navarra.
All right, David, thank you very much, and we want to welcome you to our continuing coverage this afternoon of this incredible afternoon of weather that we have had all across North Texas. And of course, the best news of all is that so far we have no reports of any serious injuries and no deaths, and that's absolutely amazing.
Right. It's been unbelievable, Jane. Really a dramatic day, a frightening day, as you mentioned. We watched it all unfold before our eyes here live on NBC5. What you're looking at now is a live picture from Chopper 5. This is southeast Dallas County. I want to reiterate first what Jane said. Look, there's a lot of cleanup to be done. We know firefighters, police going door to door checking on people, and we will continue to bring you the updates as we get them. But the good news so far is no major injuries or deaths reported that we are aware of at this point. All right, again, Chopper 5 over southeast Dallas County. Ames Meyer up there for us. Ames, these are unbelievable pictures. Tell us what you're seeing, and you've been up there all day following this, what you've seen as the day's gone on.
Yeah, this is an amazing sight. This neighborhood here, like you said, is in southeast Dallas, and on one side of the street is Stain Court, and the other side is Pepperidge Drive. And as you can see, through this little area here, all these houses are just destroyed. You know, we've seen people trying to clean up, put tarps on their roofs. The roofs that are still there, people gathering belongings, trying to get them to a dry place, and firefighters and emergency personnel going through house to house looking for people that may be trapped.
Okay. Ames, can you give us some perspective? I mean, you've got a huge view up there, and we're just looking at a small picture on the television screen here. How large of an area is this that we're looking at that has this serious damage?
Yeah, Jane, this path we were estimating is probably about a half-mile wide, and it started down southwest of here and moved northeast up in through southeast Dallas.
All right, Ames, let me ask you this, that again, amazing pictures there as you see the one block, as you pulled out from that shot of the block, the one block that's absolutely destroyed, and the block next to it, the house is fine, similar to what you see often when you see tornadoes like this. We do not see emergency vehicles in these pictures. Have you seen emergency vehicles in this area already? Have they come and left because they found out that everybody in this area is okay and they've moved on? Do you know?
No, there are still a lot of emergency personnel. There's a college that's to our right, and I'm going to pan over, and you can see there's a staging area where all the emergency personnel are. They're probably going in shifts, seeing if people are okay. There's some backhoes there for cleanup. They're probably just calling on everybody to, help out in this time of need.
This now is the tornado that did touch down in southeast Dallas that left the damage, the incredible damage that we saw that Ames just showed us a few moments ago. And you can see how large that cloud is and how long it stays down, because as Ames said, there's a long swath of damage there. Yeah, and the debris, amazing pictures of the debris flying. I think right as we took this video of the one in Dallas, we saw what was one of those trailers from a tractor trailer truck flying through the air, and that is going to be the indelible image that people remember from this weather event, no doubt, is those trailers flying through the air. Well, as David said, I mean, he's been on the air for 36 years here, and he's never seen anything like trailers flying through the air. Something none of us have ever seen. So this was that tornado that left all of that damage. Now, I believe we have Ken Kaltoff, who is standing by live on the ground in that same neighborhood. Is that where you are, Ken? Tell us precisely where you are.
Jane, I'm in Lancaster on Wintergreen Road, and this is the kind of thing we find around here. Now, you can be sure this Mercedes was not sitting here in the grass before this tornado, but that's where it is now with a whole bunch of damage. Cars were flying all over this neighborhood from what people tell us. Over here across the road, you can see people hanging around in front of another car. There's a couple of cars over there. One of them flew from some other place down the street. The people that live over in that house tell us they have no idea where that other car came from. Now, we were watching this tornado as it came through Lancaster, and it was a pretty frightening thing to watch. We were about a mile down the road. We could hear sirens going off at the time, and we watched that funnel cloud move from the south to the north right through this city. There was debris flying as the twister moved through, and so we were absolutely certain that there would be all kinds of problems up the road, and frightened too about the condition that there might be of the people there, because this is a heavily populated area. There are many homes here, so we did not know what we would find. We waited for that storm to pass, and then we came down Wintergreen Road here, and we found all sorts of damage. Many houses are destroyed. There's about a dozen or so of them that are completely obliterated. Many more have suffered other sorts of damage. But luckily, all of the people were able to come out of these houses and tell their stories. Now this is the Cedar Valley Christian Center. Inside of this place back here live on the ground were about 135 kids who were taking cover inside this rather sturdy building. The archway across the front of the place did not survive the tornado. It's all broken down and gone here now, busted up. And my, that must have made a terrible sound inside. That's exactly what the pastor tells us. It was very frightening. But they had all those kids safely hunkered down in an area inside of this building. The building itself was pretty sturdy, and so the kids were just fine. They came out of here, luckily, surviving this tornado. Now, Jane, you may recall that we had another tornado in Lancaster back in 1994. That was another frightening situation, and people were not as lucky then. This time, everyone has survived as best we know.
Ken, it's Mark. I was listening to you earlier, and for those people who were not, relate us the story of the woman who came out only to see a vehicle being tossed right in front of her house. Am I remembering that correctly?
Indeed. The woman was trying to back out of her garage. She was trying to go someplace right at the height of all of this, and she couldn't really do that because suddenly a pickup truck landed in her driveway. It was right down this alley here that we're looking at right now. You can see what happened to a house on the corner. It's completely destroyed. And right down that alley was this other woman who was trying to back out of her garage and go someplace. So this pickup truck lands there, and the person who was in the pickup truck was amazed, but they survived and they climbed out of the thing. It was on its side, and they had to climb out the door, climb up and out of the pickup truck to get out of it, but they lived to tell the story. It's all amazing.
Ken, I know people there are, of course, very thankful that they don't have any serious injuries, but at the same time, the picture you just showed us a few moments ago of those people looking at pretty much everything they have destroyed right behind them. This is a horrible thing for those people. Have you talked to any of them? How are they doing at this point? I mean, are they in shock? I know you've been talking with folks there. We want to know how they're doing.
Well, they're all in shock. They can't believe what happened. We were here just minutes after this passed. We were here as they were just shaking the debris off of themselves and climbing out of their wrecked homes. And it's just amazing. You're seeing people right here walking down the street, probably not sure what they're going to do. They've got some bags there, and it's certainly hard. People are having a tough time here. We would think the Red Cross will be along to help people, but golly, we've had so many storms in North Texas today. Where will they start? It could be a while before they get to everyone who's going to need some help recovering from this. But up and down the street, people were telling me that they are thankful to be alive after what they saw here.
All right, we know it's been an emotional day for you covering this, Ken, and the story really just beginning for the folks out there. Thank you so much.
That's right, monitoring the National Weather Service feed here live, and a new tornado warning I want to pass on for the Hopkins County area. Sulphur Springs is where we are concerned, in particular to the east of Sulphur Springs. It looks like radar detecting a tornado 4 miles south of Sulphur Springs, and this was a couple minutes ago. So by now it looks to be lifting kind of to the east southeast of Sulphur Springs, crossing over Highway 11, and it looks like the circulation is going to be crossing over I-30 here shortly. And we're talking about Martin Springs, Pine Forest, and Weaver in the direct path of this storm. So new tornado warning here for Hopkins County, and this will run until 6 p.m. here. The storm is moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So that's a new tornado warning that we want to pass on to you. And elsewhere, the storm's still quite intense, still possible of putting out a large golf ball, maybe baseball-sized hail up in Cooper. We have not had any reports of tornadoes up there in Delta County, but we're still following that very closely. And look there, the red polygon just dropped off, so it looks like that tornado warning will be allowed to expire. So now the only active tornado warnings are for Hopkins County, and on up into Red River County as well as that storm continues to track to the northeast. But we still have numerous severe thunderstorms that are capable of damaging winds, could have winds in excess of 65 miles per hour, maybe 70 miles per hour, and large hail down through Kaufman County and Vera County. Corsicana really taking it hard right now with heavy rain, lightning, gusty winds, and hail. But the tornadic threat has diminished somewhat farther south. We're still though watching things very closely, and we have that one tornado warning in Hopkins County until 6 p.m. So the Metroplex still in the clear. That activity is off to the east. So Mark and Jane, I'm going to send it back to you for now.
All right, Grant. Yeah, the immediate area for folks in DFW is in the clear now, but obviously folks in our viewing area are still very much affected, and Grant and David will stay on top of that with Ramisha as well, and if we get any new warnings, we will bring them to you. What you are looking at now is video of the tornado that struck in Lancaster today, and well, is that live now? Okay, this is live chopper in Lancaster, so this is the damage that was sustained from that. Kevin Coakley, we know, was at a press conference just moments ago and has more information on what transpired there. Kevin, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that news conference just ended a couple of minutes ago, Mark. The mayor, Marcus Knight here, said that the city has now declared the entire city a disaster area, which allows them to do certain things, including put in a curfew starting at 7 o'clock tonight until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So from 7 tonight, 7 a.m., everybody should be in their homes, off the streets, to allow the emergency crews to do their things. An entire portion of the city has now been cordoned off, and no one other than emergency crews are being allowed in there. And that area is more or less in the northwest part of Lancaster. North to Telephone Road, south Bayport, east Pebble Beach, to the west Sunny Meadow. That area in there cordoned off tonight while the emergency crews can get in there and do some assessments and help people who've had their homes damaged. About 300 structures in all here in Lancaster have been damaged. No extent of the actual damage, if any structures have been destroyed, but that's one of the things they're trying to get a handle on tonight. No, there have been multiple injuries in the city, but no casualties, the mayor tells us. And again, that curfew is in place starting at 7 o'clock tonight. There's a lot of folks here who remember the tornadoes back in 1994, and they say that this doesn't even compare. But the damage here is quite extensive, and now an emergency shelter has been set up at the city's recreation center, and that the Red Cross is helping with that as well. That is now established for people who need a place to stay. So that's the latest from Lancaster, as the emergency crews are trying to get a handle on everything. 1700 West Veterans Memorial Drive is where the Lancaster Recreation Center is located.
Hey, Kevin, before you go, I've got one quick question for you. You know, you mentioned that they're going to have this curfew from 7 to 7 so that emergency crews can go around from one place to another uninterrupted. Do they have everybody, you said no injuries, but do they have everybody accounted for? Is there any fear that there may be anybody missing? Do you know that?
Well, yeah, I think that that's part of the fear, is that they're trying to make sure they can check each structure and make sure they haven't missed anything. That's one of the reasons they want to get people all in one place after 7 o'clock tonight. As soon as people get home from work and figure out if they can get to their house, many people are going to find out they can't get home because the area's been cordoned off. But I believe that the reason that they really want to impose this curfew for 12 hours is to allow the emergency crews to clean up power lines that are down, for one thing, and make it safe to get into certain areas, but also to check certain structures, homes, buildings, businesses, to make sure they haven't missed anybody. But at this point, they're told that there have been multiple injuries, but no casualties, no fatalities so far.
Okay, well, they have a lot of cleanup and a lot of other work to do tonight.
They do.
So, Kevin, we'll let you get busy with following up on all that, and we appreciate your updated information there.
No problem, Jane. Thanks.
And this is now new video that we're seeing. Is this live? This is live video now from Forney. So widespread significant damage, and this is likely on the order of EF2, perhaps low-end EF3, but I'm going to go with EF2 damage. Widespread significant damage, roofs torn off, just shingles, wood particles everywhere. So we're likely looking at winds 100 miles per hour, 120 perhaps miles per hour.
We want to, as we are getting this video in now, we know Ray Vieta is on his way there, I believe, as we speak.
Right, I think Mark, Ray is actually on the phone. And Ray, this looks like a residential neighborhood. I mean, a lot of people around here would know Forney as a place where you go antiquing. Huge antique district out there. But this is looks like the residential part of Forney. Is that right?
That is right, Jane. Let me tell you, the Diamond Creek subdivision got a lot of damage. And as I'm seeing right now, I'm standing here on Overton Drive. It's right where the Crosby Elementary is. That elementary school got some damage, minor damage to the roof. But what we're seeing is in the neighborhood around it. Firefighters are going door to door. This is not a secondary search. They're looking to see if there's anyone home, making sure no one is home. At this point, I have not heard of any injuries here. But I have to tell you, the debris here is incredible. There is wood, pieces of wood all over the place. There are a few houses that have completely been flatlined. One of them, the roof, completely torn off. A car turned over on its side right in front of the school. All of this goes to show you just how intense those winds were that went through this area. I spoke with a homeowner who told me, you know, I saw it coming and I couldn't do anything. I tried to dive in through my front door and was able to make it inside. He said he is just glad that he is alive. It was just such a scary situation for him. He can't believe what his neighborhood looks like. Someone described it to me as a war zone. That is exactly what it looks like right now. And there are firefighters, deputies going door to door. We would go live with our truck, but we are seeing flashes of lightning, and I have been seeing flashes of lightning for at least the last hour. So at this point, the situation is folks are trying to make sure that their neighbors are safe, deputies are here, firefighters are here. They're just going door to door, and they're putting a little piece of crime tape if they've been there and have secured the house. So that's the way they know no one's home. Some folks were able to heed the warnings and escape and not be in this neighborhood. We understand there were no students inside the school at the time that the tornado went through, so that is one piece of good news. No children were hurt at all. We understand some teachers in the school live in this neighborhood as well, so they were able to make it out safely. But again, it is just an incredible scene here, and a lot of damage from what you can see are very intense winds that went through this area. Jane, Mark?
Right. I think Mark and I are both going to say that Grant Johnson just walked over here, and Ray, you can't see the video that we're looking at right now from Chopper 5, but there's a house. If we could go back to that, Ames, perhaps, there's a house where you can see it has been moved off of its foundation. That's how severe the winds were. Have you seen that, Ray?
Yes, I think I know which house you're talking about, and I'm walking to it right now. And yes, I see exactly what you're saying. There's one house that I think is right next to the one that you're telling me about, where you could see there's actually water coming through where the bathroom was probably once. It's just a frame of a house, and all around that frame of the house is, well, pieces of the house just scattered all around the backyard. I can tell you that house is the worst that I have seen in this neighborhood. That is the street right behind Overton Drive, which is in front of the school that we were all concerned about, Crosby Elementary. And another thing we should know, if folks are able to hear us, Criswell Elementary is the shelter for this area. So any folks that sustain damage, that know people that live in this neighborhood and are trying to find them, they should be at Criswell Elementary. That is where the city of Forney has set up a shelter for folks who are in need. And you can see by the video just that there are a lot of folks that will be in need in this neighborhood.
All right, Ray, thanks very much. We know you want to continue to follow up there and get more information on just exactly how bad all of this damage is and if anybody was indeed hurt. We do want to share now some video that a viewer sent in for us. Christian Hendricks sent this video in from Forney as the tornado was hitting there. He says this is near the elementary school there. Look closely in the background. It slowly starts to weaken and then disappears. As we continue to watch it, this video was sent in at 4:08 p.m. But amazing, you're watching cars driving right towards that tornado there. Just unbelievable pictures we've been seeing today. And we've got a still shot for you, too, of what transpired in Forney. Wow. This was sent in by Burton Morgan, 4:02 p.m. And boy, that tells the story right there.
There are 300 structures damaged in the city of Lancaster alone. All this extra law enforcement to help secure this area where there is no electricity. Many of the residents here saw up close what we did from a distance. The tornado tore through here from south to north, putting up all sorts of debris as it plowed through. The touchdown in this one neighborhood sent cars flying from who knows where. The residents at one home did not know that there was a tornado, but the lady there took cover and came out later to find half the house gone.
I hid in the bathroom tub on this side of the house. My mama's bathroom is gone. This black PT Cruiser is my car. I don't know whose Altima this is.
I was coming from the store, and I got out the car to go in the house, and then I saw it coming from that way.
And it just started flying.
And then it started flying across over there.
The wood from the back fence was going that way. So I pulled back in, I heard a thump, turned around, and here was this truck. And that's when I turned around and thought, I'm not going anywhere.
But I just thank God that everybody's all right that's all right. And I just thank God that this truck took a beating for us.
We see it on television. We saw it, in the Midwest, but it's another thing when it comes to hit you personally.
It sure is.
Yes, sir.
The pastor of Cedar Valley Christian Center was here at the time that this storm blew through, along with 135 kids attending a daycare center here at his church. Well, they heard the noise as the front porch blew apart and took flying apart here. But inside, all of the kids were okay. They were hunkered down, they were protected the way that you should be when a tornado is coming, and they were fine. They were screaming and scared, and lots of parents came up here worried about them. But so far, we found no one killed from this storm in Lancaster.
Oh my God, tornado right on the top of my house. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, please. Please.
And this is home video from CBS 11 viewer Vincent Tang. He says he got up onto the roof of his house in Lancaster and was watching as this tornado was marching down the neighboring street. Not the safest place in the world to be on top of your roof when a tornado is coming by. Thankfully, he is okay tonight, but you can see the debris in the area. And when the camera pans over a little bit to the left, you can see a pretty good, like a rope tornado or a stovepipe tornado, Larry.
What's interesting, Karen, is you look at this tornado footage, and it doesn't look like that classic big, long, almost elephant trunk extending down from the clouds. But what you can't see is that there's a wind field down at the ground. You can see all the debris flying around. It's a big circulation right there, not only around that little gray area you see in the middle of your screen, but there's also really intense winds rotating around that circulation as well. It's larger than what it looks like just because the condensation of the clouds is not as intense as what it looks like. It's certainly a very large tornado there on the ground from Vincent and Lancaster earlier this afternoon.
Johnson and Tarrant counties, this was about 12:45. Then a second storm hit Ellis and Dallas County about 10 minutes later. Then at 1:27, here you see it, HD Chapter 8 caught a tornado in southern Dallas County. And within 5 minutes, the tornado was throwing huge tractor trailers around like little toys.
Same time, the first storm moved over to Arlington. It ripped off some roofs. It tore some huge chunks out of buildings. And then eventually moved to the Forney area. That was about 3:38. And then by the time we got there, homes were reduced to piles of brick and wood. The city says 2 tornadoes actually came through that location.
Yeah, I think so far a total of 12. And Pete says from Johnson County to Hunt County, damage everywhere.
TV. And she said, Mother, you better take cover. The tornado's coming. So I called my son. I said, you better take cover in there. So I put my oxygen tank up to the closet door. And then I pulled the telephone up, and then I got in the closet and I covered up with the quilt.
And then what did you hear as the tornado passed through? Because it did a lot of damage to your home.
I heard like glass breaking. And then I heard something say, ooh, 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 just like that. And then it was gone.
Huh. But you weren't hurt? Nobody else in the home was hurt? A lot of people
I
in the
was praying in that closet, I tell you I was.
Well, I don't blame you. I would have been
thank
too.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
A lot of people in this neighborhood got damage to their houses, but nobody was injured. I mean,
that's a blessing.
that is the blessing, isn't it, tonight?
It is.
You were at work at the time, but you came home. What did you think when you came home and saw this in your neighborhood?
Oh, my grandchildren.
I was like, wow, I was just really trying to check on my people, make sure everything was all right. Wasn't nobody hurt, you know. That's all. I was just trying to make sure my granny was all right and my uncles and everybody was all right.
But as you see this neighborhood now and the condition it's in now, what goes through your head? And now that it's been a couple of hours, you must still be in shock, I imagine.
I just sort of, yes. I'm just glad it didn't take anybody or get anybody get hurt. You know,
well, Laverne, I'll let you get back to where all the work you need to do. All the best from all of us at Channel 5, okay? Well, I know you have a big job ahead of you to clean up your house.
Oh, yes.
You know, all these people in town, the fortunate thing here in this neighborhood, a lot of folks were at work at the time it happened, and so many people came home from work to discover the damage in their yards. But people like Laverne were able to take cover. Some people I heard took cover in bathtubs with mattresses on top of them, bringing in their children with them to the bathtub as well, closets, all the things that we've been telling them for so many years to do. If they see a tornado coming, they did it, and it saved a lot of lives.
We will bring it to you here on NBC5. Biggest Loser is coming up next, and The Voice will, of course, be back at 10 to wrap up today's events.
NBCDFW.com is a great resource. Of course, we'll have a full wrap-up of the tornadoes today on NBC5 News at 10. Good night.
Good night.